So in the blink of an eye, it's back on. Oranges have been handed out. Half-time's done. Somebody joked that they should do the footy thing, come back out and go the other way. Run the other way.
That would be interesting.
That'd really mix it up, as long as everybody did it at the same time. So 70 Ks ahead of us. It's the same as what we've just done, 22 laps. So we're now up to race 17 of the championship. So Craig Lowndes has done a couple of things there. He's got his first race win of the year. He's got his 7th here at this circuit. His first since 2005 at Queensland Raceway. And overall on the all-time winners list, Lowndes is second behind Mark Scaife, but he now edges up to 78 career victories. Such an impressive performance, though, from the man who will again start next to him, Tim Slade. So the Fuso starting grid for this race is how they finished the race we just witnessed. Lowndes against Slade. 78% of the time in the last 5 years, the winner has come from the front row of the grid. It's happened again. Whincup against Rick Kelly. Jamie Whincup now has a 176-point championship lead. Steve Owen made up 3 spots in the last race. Greg Murphy, a big mover. He made up 11 spots. Lee Holdsworth had his wars through that race, but held tight. And Stephen Johnson, another solid performance, found 5 slots from his starting position. And the same too for his teammate, James Moffat, who made up 12 positions. Shane Van Gisbergen and Alex Davison, the Stone Brothers Racing. Ford Performance Racing behind them. Mark Winterbottom in position 13 and Paul Dumbrell next to him. And their other teammate, Will Davison, in the Trading Post Falcon starts behind them. Russell Ingall, the very first winner here back in 1999, has had 3 successes on this circuit.
1 minute, guys. 1 minute.
Todd Kelly and David Reynolds mid-pack. There's Michael Caruso. And James Courtney won both races last year. Things haven't been going well for the Toll Holden Racing team today. Jason Bright and Jason Bargwana. Jana Living Racing, so Bradley Jones Racing represented together on that part of the grid. All the teammates are ganging up here. Dean Fiore, Fabian Coulthard in position 24. You're wondering, where is Garth Tander? Well, D'Alberto and Webb are ahead of him. Warren Luff is about to start his 100th career race, and there is Tander. Puncture to the front left tyre. He was the last man into pit lane. And that 15-minute service period has been done. Now's the time we'll find out if they've worked on the cars correctly, if they've prioritised properly, if the changes that they were looking for have been made in that short time. Normally they have hours to work on the cars in between races or in between days.
So a couple of guys that likely to benefit from having stronger grid positions now as a result of starting where you finish in the previous race. Keep a close eye out on both Steve Owen and Greg Murphy. We saw a shot there a moment ago of Greg in earnest conversation with Barry Ryan. They're still debriefing and analysing all that had gone on in the previous race and what they had in terms of adjustability in that car. But track position is going to serve Greg Murphy well here when you consider the number of places that he made in that last race. So keep an eye out for him in the Pepsi Max car. Mark's point about Tim Slade's a good one as well. He now knows what he can get away with. He's not nearly as experienced as the guy that he's racing at the front of the field in terms of what you can and can't get away with in race-winning performance. Craig Lowndes has done a lot of it over his career. Tim Slade still learning the tricks. He's on board. We're with Will Davis in the Trading Post Racing car. Brand Spanker, nice and shiny at the start of this weekend. Always subtle improvements at every iteration of every new chassis. Here's James Moffat. He can be pretty proud of his achievement in that last one.
Neil, I'll just jump in there. James might be a little unlucky. They're going to have a look at an incident after the end of this race. As you would expect, we talked with the head of the show about one of the tricks was going to be to download from your driver on the in-lap of the last race. Get all the information out of him beforehand. So the guys were full on the radio all the way in and through the pits, and in doing so missed the call to stop at the weighbridge, which is up at the head of the pit lane. Now, normally they come down pretty heavy on that, so let's hope the stewards after the race take into consideration the circumstances of this event.
Yeah, normally that's an instant heavy-duty penalty. So, as you say, Larko, thanks for that. Hopefully this one will be a penalty fits the crime scenario. So when you consider James starting out at 22 and finishing in 10th in that last race, as Matty said before, that's a heck of a performance. And I seriously doubt whether the car's underweight, but it has in the past been an issue. So we're on board now with Jamie Whincup. Mark Dutton in the background. take this very brief opportunity to remind you that tomorrow you can watch all of the V8 Supercar action on 7 Mate. Coverage begins at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 Mate tomorrow for your V8 Supercars.
So let's see whether Lowndes can make a start like he did last time. Tim Slade also was good off the line. And Jamie Whincup made a very poor start, so he'll be looking to rectify that. Lowndes now 167 points, 176 points. Mark's just had a little moment.
Seniors moment.
Yeah, that's what happens sometimes.
I had to say because Neil would have.
Yeah, I know.
Everybody's in place.
Green flag, green flag.
Start absolutely vital. Lowndes knows it, Slade knows it. Whincup and Kelly behind him, they know it. Owen and Murphy on the third row of the grid. Everybody's got experience. Lowndes will shoot away again. It looked like a good start too from Whincup, but Tim Slade's going to slot into second only just and split the team Vodafone cars at turn 1.
Some contact there involving Alex Davison and somebody off on the right-hand side run to turn 2. Now, Whincup got a good jump, and is that Brell out wide at 2?
Yep.
Slade managed to just slot in because Whincup blasted away nicely. He jumped well away from Rick Kelly.
Whincup's going to have a look straight away, down at turn 3. And he will get the job done. He made that so clear coming down the long back straight.
And that started for Jamie the minute he dropped the clutch. Good positive start, immediate momentum, surgical job down at turn 3, bang. And now the 2 Vodafone guys. In a ripping position to hold command from here. Now, I believe that Paul Dumbrell was the one that was struggling on the outside at turn 2, and I think he's coming in with whatever the damage is on that car.
There was a lot of contact at turn 4, so there's Lowndes from Whincup. Slade, Rick Kelly, Steve Owen, Greg Murphy, Steve Johnson, Lee Holdsworth, Shane Van Gisbergen and Mark Winterbottom. James Moffat is 11th, so that's your top 10 with Moffat. A little bump there with Fiore and D'Alberto leading into turn 1.
So David Reynolds was the car that Mark picked in the run down to turn 2. And you can see that Paul can't turn the Botlow entry there. It's at walking pace, so they've both got steering and tyre damage, it seems.
Swing that right wide, we'll just try to turn in the best we can. Turn in a bit early.
Check out the start here. It was a good one from Lowndes. Slade went with him. Whincup was really quick from the word go, and Tim Slade had to use a little bit of aggression to tuck in here. All those bumps playing their part, and then the trouble will unfold. So that was a big whack, a big whack for Paul Dumbrell. I wonder if he got a shove along from behind.
Well, 2 things. Oh, and off the road goes Carl Reindler after a good run in the previous race. And a lot of contact. That must be Todd Kelly.
Todd Kelly, yeah.
And damage to the front of Todd's Jack Daniels Commodore.
And the rear. And big damage for James Courtney.
Oh, look at the damage to the front of that car.
So it's been crunch time around turns 4 and 5. We don't know how it started. We know how it's ended.
He has
Safety
had
car.
a shocking year, hasn't he? This has just been an unbelievably bad run.
On me.
So James is looking to nose it in there as we go back to Todd Kelly. So massive damage on the front of that car as well. And the field come under the control of the safety car here. I believe there's oil on the road and clearly a massive amount of fluid.
Safety car scramble.
Man.
Present leader is car 888, 60 kilometres an hour.
Todd will be very despondent about that. Those sorts of incidents, and that's one of those concertina ones where it's got damage at the back, damage at the front.
So down at the exit of turn 5. Pick it up on the wide shot, see.
So that's Carl Reindler and Alex Davison. Oh, and then the next thing has been as a result of it. So they've all backed up. So James and Todd have been innocent victims in the thing that happened earlier, which was Alex and Carl.
And Alex Davison is part of this because he was involved in the first segment of it. Russell Ingall got by, and then look at the damage there. What a great shot. Well done, guys, to get that shot of James Courtney spearing into the back of Todd Kelly, and a lot of force. It actually it popped the back wheels of Todd Kelly's car off the ground. It hit that hard. And look at the damage to the front of the Toll HRT car. As I said, this has just been such a disappointing year. And Barrett's is down in the HRT pit.
Yeah, James Courtney with me. JC, tell us what happened from where you were sitting.
Everyone just stopped dead in front of me, and I had nowhere to go. So I don't know, something must have happened in front, and then everyone just stopped dead, and yeah, nowhere to go, and we're out.
You okay?
Sorry, mate?
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine, but yeah, it's not the way we wanted the weekend to go. So yeah, very disappointing, and guys got a long night ahead of them.
All right, rest tonight. We'll see you tomorrow.
Cheers, mate. Sorry, guys.
So a few victims. That was a heavy impact. You just can't take a trick at the moment. Watch this impact. First of all, you'll see Todd Kelly come into picture, and then watch this. Courtney, slam. Gee, that's fast.
Yeah, and the other thing that on the exit of turn 5 there, when someone goes off to the right, a lot of dust and dirt and debris flies, so you're literally blinded. And so neither Todd Kelly nor James Courtney had any option there at all. But all of a sudden, they just found a solid object in the middle of a cloud.
And the corner speed there, the mid-corner speed for turn 5 is 135 kilometres an hour, but they were out of the corner, so there would be something like 150 Ks. And you can see poor Todd Kelly. This is, I mean, it's so tough. You own the team, you're running the team, you're working hard. At one end of the field, your brother's going quite well, and then you're caught in an incident like that, which he couldn't do anything about. As Neil said, there was no way to avoid this. Have another look. You can see the drama that unfolds with Reindler and Davison. And there's Ingle to the inside, and bang, bang, there's Todd Kelly and James Courtney concertinaed straight into the back of each other. Have a look. This is a great shot. Initial contact is Davison and Reindler. There goes Ingle. Now watch this one, and bang! That's at over 150 kilometres an hour. There'd be more than 50 Ks differential in speed there to achieve that sort of force. So anyway, both cars out, and a disappointing result for Todd Kelly and James Courtney.
Paul Dumbrell, though, did get back out. He came in, they jacked the car up, jumped underneath, started to undo the steering arm, realised it was dead straight, put a new tyre on it and shipped it, so that's good. A couple of other guys, but 3 or 4 other guys cycled through the pit lane. We did talk about this earlier from a strategic point of view. If you were near the back of the grid and there was a safety car, you'd probably come through the pit lane, whack another set of tyres in anyway, and you'll be a little fresher at the other end.
So Alex Davison's come in for running repairs as well, and David Reynolds is still in pit lane.
So it's quite substantial damage on the back of that thing as well. And Alex may, I reckon, end up also copping a penalty for his role in that with Carl. I don't reckon he was far enough up the left-hand side, and he'll maintain the gap closed on him, but that'll be reviewed later, no doubt.
Well, it's similar to what we saw with Whincup and Rick Kelly, where Rick Kelly basically had to pull out of it. Alex didn't, and that's the result. So we said there could be big contact, and the speed there's quite high. And the result damage to a couple of the significant cars, plus the damage that's on the guy that actually was part of it.
Now, this may also have shifted the position of the rear wing on that car, which will change the behaviour of it. So that's pretty untidy at the rear. The lights are out on the Petters.
Accelerating away from the field. 888 maintain speed.
Petters' safety car is going to pull off on the completion of this lap. So they're taking the incompressible jacks out from beneath David Reynolds' car, and he'll rejoin as well. Lowndes, the man in command from his teammate Jamie Whincup, Tim Slade, Rick Kelly, Steve Owen, Greg Murphy.
So remember, Whincup got by Slade down at turn 3 on the first lap. Lowndes started this race from pole position. Rick Kelly's in 4th, Stevie Owen, Greg Murphy, Stephen Johnson.
Not much really happened other than Whincup and Stevie Johnson grabbing positions there, Matty, in the opening couple of laps.
The rest remains the same, except for Courtney and Kelly out, and David Reynolds now rejoins.
The tyres will love this little break they've just had.
Yeah.
Here we go, around turn 6. Lowndes has control. Race.
Bad restart there for Tim Slade. Too big a gap behind Jamie Whincup.
Huge gap. It's about 3 or 4 car lengths, maybe more. The camera foreshortens that gap a little. So he's allowed them to get that breather.
Whoa. That was that slide.
We said it was going to affect the behaviour of the car.
What did you say? It was going to be speedway?
Alex Davison's going to have a handful.
It looks gruesome, doesn't it? Just the whole band is dragging its backside on the road and sliding all over the place, and cold tyres as well.
He'll appreciate us laughing about it too. There he is, the rear of the field. The officials had a very good look at that car exiting pit lane, and they'll continue to monitor it and see if anything starts to fly off it. But let's go back to the racing. And it's the Team Vodafone Triple Eight attack out in front. What have they got? Has Lowndes got enough to hold off Whincup? Can Slade get that position back from these two guys at the top end of the field?
I said it in the last race, the strategy of how hard you go early on the tyre makes such a difference at the end. Lowndes was able to do the previous race within 1 second of his initial fastest lap. And now with Whincup right behind, it will be interesting to see whether both guys adopt the same strategy and how hard they drive the car to get the best yield for 22 laps. It looked like they're driving them pretty hard because they're all off the road coming out of turn 2.
Now, Tander's made pretty reasonable ground in all this, in all the kerfuffle in the opening phase of the race. He's taken advantage at 17th on last count. Tim just recovering a little bit of that lost ground at the restart. So Tanders, you've got some numbers there, Mark. He grabbed 11 spots for Garth, so it's a good job. Here we go, it's on here. Rick Kelly, Steve Owen, Greg Murphy. These fellas are all battling for 4th. Again, dropping right rear off the right-hand side at turn 5. Rocks flying, dust everywhere.
Oh, gone!
There's a bit of help.
Well, he got hit from behind, so Steve Johnson started all that, and Murphy ended up bumping. That was a good save from Steve Owen. He ended up bumping Steve Owen all the way into the corner. I think Greg needs to... Yeah, well done, Greg. Very smart, because he could have passed him, pulled back in behind.
Well, he controlled all that by the look of it, Greg, so nice work, because if he made an unfair gain there, it's half a chance that he'd have to redress it, so...
But he probably had speed on him.
To do it.
Exactly, and Steve Johnson sort of caused the drama for Murph, so... Greg's now got to get his head down and make sure he can go and do a good, clean pass or good manoeuvre, and this is not going to get a chance because here comes Steve Johnson.
And Van Gisbergen goes in as well.
Oh, look, there's some drama
Mark
behind there too.
A big lunge in the FBR car. His teammate Will Davison's not far behind all that. So good move there, Stephen Johnson. He got it down the inside. Whenever you see him 2 and 3 wide down there into turn 4, you just drop your head and close your eyes for a second, open them and hope it all pops out okay the other side.
So Craig Lowndes leads from Jamie Whincup, Tim Slade, Rick Kelly, Steve Owen, Steve Johnson, Greg Murphy, Shane Van Gisbergen.
Look at this.
And this is bumping. Oh, he'll actually be in stride for that. That's Moffat, who has pushed Will Davison wide.
And fairly incriminating evidence as well, because we were riding with him when it happened. So Will Davison gets a shove sideways and James Moffat goes through. Russell Ingall also went through as well. Lowndes is our race leader, 0.7 of a second ahead of his teammate. Tim Slade's hovering over the back.
He's getting closer.
Car 88.
He is, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's a good job. And he's used his head, and it's probably not a bad guide. For Tim Slade, what he's probably doing is using Jamie Whincup as his guide as to how hard he can drive the car. And at this point, he's just going along with him. So he's only 0.3 of a second. You can see the gap there right behind.
And Scafie, they made a little tweak to Tim's car. I was talking to Ross Stone. What he said he couldn't do in that first race is turn 2, that big long turn 2, where that oil went down earlier in the day. Tim couldn't hold a really tight line like Craig could. He was losing a little bit of time to him. So I'd say they've just tightened the car up a little bit so it points a little better. He can tuck a little in a little tighter, and as a consequence, you can see he's a little closer.
Yeah, those little fine-tuning things, like they make big differences at corners like that. You know, 150k mid-corner speed. If you can make a little change, you get a big time yield. And this is Steve Johnson, who's made really good ground. He's driving the car really well. He's qualified a long way down in the previous race. He's forged his way forward and is now right up in behind Steve Owen. He's about to attack for 5th position.
You're riding with Mark Winterbottom. He's in 9th. That's Shane Van Gisbergen ahead of him. He's got Lee Holdsworth behind him. This is where all the action is at the moment. The back end of the top 10. 255 Ks down the back straight, down to turn 3. Hit the anchors hard. Hold on, no touch against Shane Van Gisbergen. And And now the little short shoot up towards turn 4.
So Greg Murphy, it is on the left-hand side of screen there. So the two Kiwis locked in combat. Just a little gap there for Shane to poke the Falcon nose into, but has to just wait. It wasn't big enough to be able to get it done. He didn't have enough pace either.
And Greg will like that little gap. What you can do then is concentrate hard on turn 6, get the car in and around this corner and get a little bit of breathing space, because there's nothing worse than having someone right there behind you on the way into turn 1 over those bumps.
Mark Dutton on the radio has been just suggesting to Jamie that he can tweak the rear anti-roll bar on that car just to get its balance back, because clearly they're just starting to feel a little vulnerable to Tim Slade here at the moment. He's close enough to be a pest.
So coming up on half race distance, we see over the break in this area that Neil Crompton's talked about before, where that bump is, you've got to modulate the brake, and as the tyres go away, it's much more difficult. We're in the nerve centre of both teams there, with Lucky 7 Racing and 888 Vodafone Racing on the bottom of the screen.
This man on screen up in the top left-hand corner is Wes McDougall. He's the engineer for Tim Slade. They've got a great rapport, those two. Working together.
Job, aren't they?
They're doing a great job together. They've got a great understanding, great level of communication and trust. Oh, here we go. David Reynolds also wide again.
Well, they're catching up to him, and I think David just wanted to step out of the way anyway, but he went a little bit too wide.
Gravel, yeah.
So Lowndes is doing a Craig Lowndes job here. He's started from pole position and continues to lead the way. He's been not bothered at all, and that is a Lowndes job. Not bothered at all in the first 22 laps, and same here. He knows that the presence is there. He has a good look down on the back straight. Here we go, watch this, around turn 2. Those bumps are extraordinary.
You won't want to do that too many times.
He came out of the throttle, and caught it with some opposite lock. The reason.
Yeah, so Jeremy Moore has said,
he said
go
the same
easy.
thing. Yeah.
He said go easy, and then Lowndes come back and said there's a bit of oil on the exit. It might have had a bit to do with being 5 k's too fast also.
There's a little bit of smoke haze behind Jamie's car there at the rear shot on turn 5, but what the point is that you just can't afford to do too much sliding. Don't forget, if you're out and about and you want to catch your V8 supercar action on the run, the Telstra Next G Mobile is the answer, thanks to Big Pond Sport. Stay on board here.
James Moffat, that's Mark Winterbottom in front of him.
We're going to stay on board for this lap, and let's have a look at the body language and how much the cars move around. You see these bumps down at turn 1 and the bumps at turn 2. Good run. On the inner sanctum there for a great pass down the inside of Mark Winterbottom. Well done, James Moffat.
He did it by picking the throttle up. The car accepted it at turn 2. He was into it early. He had corner exit pace on his side, and Mark Winterbottom knew he was a shot duck down there, so he didn't even cover.
That's for 9th spot. So he's done it. It's a good drive. I mean, I know we saw him make contact down there before at turn 6, but it's been a strong performance. Listen for the way they pick the throttle up, nice and smooth, modulate how much power you put down. Well done. Nice exit, not too much oversteer, little sway bar tweak. Have a look at the work they do here. This, through turn 1, you get it turned in, look at the steering action. Catch it. And again, the steering action at turn 2. Bumps unsettle it, a little bit of positive lock, little bump, oversteer. Uses all the road. Nice job.
When he came onto the straight that time, you can see he had a bit to do. He adjusted the anti-roll bar in the car, had to quickly grab a gear as well. Here it is again in replay. So it's a nice job. Certainly on the braking limit, he ran slightly wide in turn 2, but he did it easily. No sign of any damage. And didn't lock horns with Mark Winterbottom, who now finds himself,
this is the replay,
drifting a little if you look at the margin. So here it is again from on board the car. So Frosty just hasn't quite got the pace there at the moment. He's just dropped off quickly from James Moffat. Remember, I think it was their car, from memory, we saw getting a complete package change of spring and damper.
And Whincup has made ground. It's now down to 0.7 of a second. It was in excess of a second a little while ago.
Very intense battle between these top three. It's the first man to blink. It's an 11.3 last lap for Craig Lowndes, 11.4 for Jamie Whincup, same time for Tim Slade. The tyres are going away at the same rate and they're locked so close.
Highlight of Tim's career up until today, you'd have to say 5th at the L&H 500 last year, but he got his first ever podium finish earlier this afternoon. 2nd behind Craig Lowndes, and he's on track for another podium finish here. You're right about Jamie Whincup. He's made a few attacks in the last few laps at his teammate. It's now out to 0.8 of a second, but it's been drifting from about a half a second in and out. 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8. So the responses have been coming from Lowndes out in the front. But Whincup looks as though he's got a bit in the bag ready to throw at his teammate. Let's look at this. Dean Fiore, Jason Bright.
Bright need to be careful.
Positions 17 and 18 around turn 5, and Fiore's going to have to slide it out onto the grass.
Hey, Matt, one of the great things about being pit reporter here at Ipswich, mate, is down the end of the pit lane where I'm standing, I'm literally 2 metres from the edge of the track. And there's a couple of great sounds there, mate. Harley Davidson, ACDC, the change coming out of Skate's wallet, and this.
You're a lunatic. Can you give us some quality down there, please?
You hear that, mate? You know what that is? The sweet sound of a V8 running on sugarcane juice.
Are you sure you haven't had some this afternoon?
Exactly.
So here's the replay of what happened between Dean Fiore and Jason Bright. Jason had already been on the radio complaining that Dean was blocking him, so the two of them ended up arguing over the same. He fixed that at turn 5.
It's a little bump to get up the inside, but he gets up there. He's probably similar to what we saw with Whincup and Rick Kelly. Dean turned in, Jason maintained his line, and the contact was made. So there'll be some chat about that after the race for sure. And here's Carl Reindler up onto the back of Michael Caruso. That is for 18th and 19th position. So Lowndes from Whincup from Slade. It's been a great battle, those top 3. Rick Kelly, Steve Owen, Steve Johnson, Greg Murphy, Shane Van Gisbergen and James Moffat. That's your top 10 ending with Mark Winterbottom. This is on board now with Russell Ingall. Ingall is in 12th spot. Just in front is Holdsworth. Right behind is Will Davison. Look at the work. A lot of understeer there in the middle of the corner, meaning that you could see the amount of steering lock that Russell had on the car in the middle of the corner, and that really hurts your exit speed onto the main straight. And here comes Will Davison having a look down the inside. That's Garth Tander also looming. So Ingall will try to hold this outside run, which will mean it's on the inside for turn 4. He won't want to give this away. Which car do you want to be in, Cropper?
I'd rather be in Rusty's at the moment for the left-hander at turn 5, but he did look strong through 1 and 2. So the reason why he's vulnerable down there, I don't reckon he's quite got the balance he needs, and because it was slower through 2, means that he can easily be attacked down at 3. That's what we saw. I think late in the race, the answer to your question in any of these cars, other than about the first 2 or 3, I'm not sure you want to be in any of them.
Team boss Paul Morris is looking on. Garth Tander's done a great job to get up behind Will Davison. He's made up 14 spots, starting at the rear of the grid after that punctured tyre ruined his race. The first 22 laps that we've had this afternoon.
It looks stronger in this race, doesn't it? Car speed for Tander definitely looks better with whatever change they made at the end of the previous race with that damage on the left-hand front.
And conversely, the big stampede that we saw from Greg Murphy, here we go with Tander down the inside of his former teammate, and box ticked. The stampede from Greg in the previous race has not been evident in this one, so he's held station in position 7 at the moment. So these little tweaks that the boys have been talking about between races manifest themselves in different ways. Jason Bargwanna.
Late move, that one.
Very determined lunge down the inside at 4. He got away with it.
Lucky Will Davison let him do that too. He gave him room.
You don't want to scratch it.
Yeah. But if Will turned in, there would have been contact and both cars would be off the road. So Jason Bargwanna there making headway, damage to the front of his Commodore. You can see there's Matty Nielsen, engineer for FPR.
Unlucky there. Keep up the good work.
And that's Grant McPherson. You can see him on the right of screen talking to Will Davison, just saying you're a bit unlucky there.
This lead out the front that Craig Lowndes has right now is the biggest lead he's had during the race. It's 1.3 seconds from his teammate. So at the back end of this race, Lowndes' pace continues to be strong.
And Jamie just said a moment ago that I'm giving it everything, Dutto, meaning Mark Dutton, his engineer, and I haven't got anything for Craig at the moment. So I think that Wincump's on the mat. Yep. Really got nothing much else. We're seeing more and more of this smoke. I saw it very early in the race. It is having a weep somewhere, isn't it? There's something not happy under that car. Just on the subject of radio communications, sadly report to V8 Supercars that we lost one of our industry friends during the week, Lee Norrish, who's been part and parcel of the communications of the V8 Supercar business for a long period of time. Unfortunately passed away, sudden illness. It's a shock to the industry, and on behalf of everybody in the paddock and the V8 Supercar racing community, we'd like to extend our sympathies to the Norrish family.
That time around, Whincup was fastest of the top 3, but only by just under a tenth of a second, so he's really throwing everything at it. Only twice this season has he left a weekend without a race win. He's delivered one 5 times out of 7 coming into this one. At least one victory a weekend.
Doing a great job.
That was Mark Dutton saying try to stay off the exit curve at 2. You saw both cars. Lowndes ran wide, and what happens a little bit is you tend to get into the rut of whatever the lead car is. So if the lead car runs wide, there's definitely more smoke coming from the back of that car. As the lead car runs wide, you tend to run wide with it because you just get into a pattern of following.
They'll be hoping to see the checkered flag pretty soon, because if that gets much worse, it's going to attract a response from race control.
Absolutely.
The checkered flag's coming. They're on lap 20 of 22.
They've already cautioned Tim Slade to be careful of any oil that may be dropped.
Again, Jamie Whincup was the fastest that time around, this time by about 0.2 of a second.
Yep, there's the evidence of the smoke coming from the right-hand rear.
Let's bring it home, 2 to go.
So Mark Dutton and Adrian Burgess, Mark on the right, talking to Jamie Whincup. They've got a very good rapport.
They glow on the brakes there as the sun starts to dip down. On this extraordinary day, it's been a success, no question about that. That 15-minute service period was quite fascinating to watch unfold, especially in this pit lane where space is at a premium. The first 22 laps was great. The emergence of Tim Slade has been unfolding throughout this season, and it's reaching a high point right at the right time. Remember, this is the last event before we head off into the Enduros, the LNH 500, and then the big one, the Super Cheap Auto Bathurst 1000. Second half of the year of the V8 Supercars.
You're losing a bit of fuel oil on the looks of it.
Not to be missed. Off they go on the final lap, 3.1 Ks to go.
So Mark Dutton's saying in the background there that he thinks it's a little bit of diff oil. They'll be seeing a temperature down there on the telemetry information that might help to suggest that that's the cause. We're seeing evidence of a bit of oil weeping and some corresponding smoke at the moment, but he's going to get it home. Lucky it's not a longer race. Oh, problem here for Tander, who was making great ground. No longer.
He has to wait for the field to go by.
That is
pretty much all of the field. Alex Davison, Warren Luff still to come around, but Garth Tander was punching so hard. He started from 28th. He got it up mid-pack. He made up some 14, 15 spots. And then a spin around has found him at the back of the pack again. But, well, the story couldn't be any different for this man, Craig Lowndes. He comes here to Queensland Raceway without winning a race in 2011. And he will go back-to-back on this day. They changed the ball game, and Lounsey was here to play.
Am I allowed to do a burnout now? We don't want them anymore.
We don't want them anymore.
That's all he wanted to know. Lowndes gets another race
the
win.
car though, mate, and the engines don't. Only the tyres you can burn off.
If you remember, his wallet got lightened a bit for this early on, so he just gets permission now.
Yeah, but did you hear what Jeremy said?
Yeah,
we still need the car and the engine. You can wind the tyres off it if you like, but that's no problem.
So Whincup second, another great performance from Tim Slade. Roland Dane and Team Vodafone are getting very used to celebrating this year. Coming into this event, it was all celebrations for Whincup, but Lowndes has owned this weekend, wire to wire in both races. He did the job in qualifying early.
Podium near the burnout pad, pit lane exit.
And that was the critical key, that 20-minute qualifying session where he got pole position, put him in the box seat to deliver.
He's a lunatic, isn't he? Well, can I do a burnout now? It's like a little kid.
Well, I reckon he was probably about a metre over the start-finish line when he asked that.
So
this is the Tander scenario. That was Jason Bargwanna.
Yeah, Garth's just on the radio discussing it there a moment ago. So aggravation between Tander and Bargwanna, that'll get looked at later on. I'm sure there are a couple of incidents that need to be reviewed. Here's one between James Moffat and Shane van Gisbergen. Ongoing. Oh, that's a biggie.
Ongoing.
That was a send.
Yeah. He probably does need to look after the engine at some point.
Can I point out, Mark, that he's your teammate?
He's your teammate. You need to
for the next two events.
try and control him.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
Might be good, but I'm not a magician.
You're in safe hands. What a performance, though. I mean, that's, you know, he's done so many laps around here. He won so many races early on from 99 down to 2005.
Just got to let the smoke out of the cabin.
He's now currently having trouble breathing.
It's amazing what 5 litres of red cordial can do to a person.
Every day.
So that's your podium. Lowndes, Whincup and Slade. Rick Kelly, a very solid performance this weekend. You've got to say the same for Steve Owen and Steve Johnson and Greg Murphy and James Moffat inside the top 10 again. Will Davison mid-pack in 15th. Michael Caruso just couldn't put a finger on it this weekend. He didn't fire a shot really in qualifying and stayed there throughout those two races, and hard luck stories all round at the tail of the field. Tander especially, Dumbrell, Reynolds, Courtney and Todd Kelly. Courtney and Todd both innocent victims of a pretty nasty incident down at turn 5. So here he comes. 37 years of age now, 79 career victories. The number one on the top of the car. And I said it before, he's starting to buy into this championship argument at the right time of the year. A very popular winner, especially in these parts. Jeremy Moore, his right-hand man. So a good day.
He'll be wrapped.
Hey, Craig Lowndes, Matty White just said this was a good day. I think that's almost an understatement.
Oh, it's a great day, Brett. Look, it's been a long time coming. The last victory was actually with Scafie back at Bathurst, so long time between drinks, and I don't have to get fined for that burnout now.
A productive day too, and I've got some good news for you. You have wrapped up for Holden the Manufacturers Championship. That is Holden's 15th win for the year. Well done.
That's a damn shame. We've still got a long way to go. I think hopefully we can get some lot more victories, but look, it's been a great race for the weekend so far for the team, and we've still got tomorrow to come, but I'm going to celebrate today.
Well, congratulations, Lowndesy. Well done. Enjoyed the celebrations. Jamie Whincup in second spot. Jamie, does your championship no harm at all?
No, not at all. We made a big change in the brake there on the car, and it was certainly better. But Craig Lowndes too strong today. We just didn't have his pace. Make a few more changes for tomorrow, but a 1-2 for the team. We're wrapped.
Sensational. Well done, Jamie.
Thanks, Brett.
And what a day for Tim Slade as well. Tim, congratulations, boy. You've almost turned around your career in one day today. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, it felt like a bit of a dream there, sitting on the front row of the grid. As I said, it was definitely a better view, looking not at the back of another car out the front there, and I mean, couldn't ask for a better day really. A second in the first one, and really just wanted to get up here on the podium. So I was sort of a bit of a bonus to get a trophy there and to get up on the podium now. You know, I can't say enough about all my lucky 7 guys. They're the best bunch in pit lane, I reckon.
Well, you've done a great job, and you've proven you can mix it with the biggest in the competition. Well done, Tim.
Thanks, Brett.
Yeah, well played, Tim Slade. The dream has become a reality, but Queensland Raceway this weekend, well, this day anyway, belongs to Craig Lowndes.